Hello, and welcome to Black Mental Health is Black Health. I'm your host, Bronwyn Lucas, and tonight we're going to be joined via audio by two young ladies that are here to talk to you about violence in America, violence they see in their school, and we're going to talk about a conference that is coming up for teens. But before we get into such a heavy topic, we definitely are going to do some deep breathing. And I may need to breathe in the middle of it. So, for those of you who have never been on, we start off each session with some deep breathing. Why? When you're breathing in deeply, you're allowing more oxygen into your heart, your brain, your lungs, your body. It's allowing your whole body to decompress. It is putting more oxygen in your brain, allowing it to think and react freely. So, here's what I want you to do. Put your hands on your stomach, and when I say breathe in, I'm going to count to 4 slowly, and you'll breathe in slowly. And then when I say breathe out, you'll exhale slowly to the count of 4. We'll do this 3 times just to help you decompress. So breathe in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. One more in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully you've breathed a little of the cares of today away and you can get ready to hear this topic. I'm going to show you for a second. We have some young ladies that are driving, and it's kind of hard to keep the camera going. So we'll see if we can keep them on camera. If not, we'll go back solo. But we're going to try it. We're joined by Anaya and Ariel, and they are Anaya Cooper, Ariel Brown, and they're going to talk to us about their perspective of violence. So, ladies, I need you to unmute yourself. And so I want you ladies to introduce yourself. I don't know how the camera's going to work. It's kind of not steady, but who are you? Tell us your age, and what grade you're in or what year in school you're in.
My name is Ariel. I am 13 years old, and I live in Arlington, Texas, and I go to Bowling High.
All right. And our driver, can you give us your name? Don't look over here, just drive. But who are you, driver?
My name is Anaya. I'm a second year university.
Oh, and the sound is not working. It is coming through very scratchy. So we'll see how we can make this happen. Anaya, introduce yourself one more time. Let me just see how your sound is now.
I am a second year scholar from Central Florida.
Wow, the sound is not working. And maybe it's because you're moving and you know how it can go in and out. So we might have to, let me see. We'll have to figure out, we may postpone this until next week and we'll still have the show tonight and I'll talk to you about what's going on. But it may be easier. And my other guests, I see they're here, but I don't see them. So we will, since for some reason everyone's having just difficulty connecting, I'm not sure why this week. So do you think you guys will be available next Thursday? In a stationary place? because I think that'll make a big difference. And I'm not sure what happened to. I see the name came up for other person, but I'm not sure what happened to them either. Why it's not showing up. So, ladies, I'm going to let you log off. And next week, I'll let my audience know what was going on, and we'll talk about it. But next week, we'll have you in a stationary place, and we'll go from there. Okay. Thanks for trying. So I see the name Christian. I don't see you. I'm not sure what's going on. So we are going to bring our young guest on again next week.
Okay.
Because I don't see you, so I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know. Let me try something else. Ariel and Anaya, your mom says try using the car GPS and to use Ariel's phone. So I tell you what, since we're having all of this, we will try next week when everybody can get on at the appropriate time early. And I'll let you guys disconnect. And next week, we're going to be joined by these awesome young people. They really
Okay.
are
See you
great
next
people.
week.
So let me tell you what they were here to talk about. And they will be back next week and we will get out all the kinks worked out. First off, let me tell you about an organization. It's called Talk with Miss B. It is a 501c3 organization, and our mission and goal is to change the world one conversation at a time. And to that end, we do various things that are designed to make a difference in the world. So those things include, one of the things it includes is an upcoming summit on violence for teens. You know, we look at America and we see violence everywhere. You cannot turn on the television without seeing something violent. Kids can't go to school without seeing something violent. So, I decided to assemble a group of teens and talk to them about violence, talk to them about how they see it. And they were unable to get on early today in order for us to work out the kinks. And now you see what happens when you don't. So they weren't able to do that. So I'm going to reschedule them for next week so they can be here and be focused and you can hear what they have to say. It's a really interesting mix of students that we have. We have two that have experienced violence in the schools, one who's a college student, and they've seen firsthand fighting, violence, and you have two who have not. And it's just an interesting thing to understand that it's not everybody's reality, that they see it, experience, and live this violence, but it is real. So we're going to talk about that. But I will spend some time talking about the conference and how we came up with it and how you can help. So we are scheduling. I'm letting them know it'll be on next week. So what we're scheduling is a summit for youth. You know, at my age, I can't tell teens what they need to do in terms of making an impact on their community. I have always felt it makes more sense to have teenagers plan for teenagers, adults plan for adults, and even when you're planning for children, get some, know what they really like. So I want them to be able to come together and come up with a plan for one thing they can do to impact their community on violence, be it their neighborhood, their school. And so we hope to assemble in October at least 100 students from across the country. And they'll have an opportunity to break up into groups that are age related. And within each group, they're going to talk about the violence that they see, those who experience. They're going to talk about just how it looks, what it is, and what can you do. Now, my asking them what can they do is not going to necessarily be anything major. I don't want you to turn over the world. I want you to turn over your corner of the world. And it might be, I'm going to be committed to saying something nice. Um, I'm going to be committed to saying something nice. I'm going to be committed to this and see how it makes you respond differently, see how it makes your environment different just by you being a little different. And so they're going to come up with something to do. Then they'll come back again in the spring and we'll look at, okay, were you able to do it? And they'll get little reminders. Were you able to do this? If you did, what happened? Did it make a difference? We don't know. But when you try doing something, no, not when you try, when you do something, something can happen, something can come out of it. So we want to be able to make that happen. So that's what we're planning. When the reason I thought about even came up with this idea, we are bombarded with violence in our society. On every level. I am most concerned when I see violence with teens. I was driving past an apartment complex and I see kids out there fighting. And around them are just other kids watching. Of course, many were videoing. And I found it very troubling when I was talking to the young ladies last night and said, is this, troubling? And Ariel and Naya may not be able to get on next week because she's going back to college. But Ariel was saying that, it's just normal. That's what people do. And I said, for me, I think it's sad that your generation says it has normalized something like violence, that it is what it is. But it's not just their fault. If you look at January 6th, the insurrection on January 6th. That was a violent act. They violently stormed into the Capitol, violently ran down the hall, did things that were vile and violent. And so it is not just our youth. I'm focusing on youth, but our society has gotten to a point where it is verbally abusive. We talk about the Karens in the world, and all my friend named Karen hate that term, but when I say that, you know what I mean. The people who feel empowered to just go and say something mean, something crazy to somebody because they can. So a violent attitude, a violent mentality, just that has become so pervasive that we don't know what to do with it. They even say that, when you think about violence in your school and community, one person said that, hurting somebody has become a joke. And that's whether it's physical or emotional. To hurt somebody, it's just a joke. It's something you do. It's not anything that is serious. Yes, that person is hurt physically or emotionally, and you know that. But you do it for sport. You do it for jokes. You do it, and when you think about it, if you look at, I'm not a big fan of reality TV, so what I say is hearsay, but shows like the different housewives shows where they are mean to each other. And then later it turns, and it's for show, it's for sport, but it turns into something else. And so these are shows that our kids watch, those reality type shows. So they're being role model to be mean, emotionally violent, we'll call it, mean-spirited, for sport, for a joke, for ratings, for popularity. So when you think about it from that whole mental health point of view, we are conditioning them that this is the norm. And so for an rising eighth grader to say, to hurt somebody is a joke, you can see why she says that's what her peers feel. Because that is what they're fed. That violence is normal. Violence is expected. Violence is what you do. And when you look at schools, I had someone tell me and it was February 1st, and I'll tell you why this is significant. At their school, there were 5 fights that broke out in different areas at one time. And what this student said to me was what made it so horrible for her was that this was the first day of Black History Month, and I see all these black kids out here fighting, and the cops have to come. She goes, something's just wrong with that. And I agree. Something is just wrong with that you're out here, you're fighting, and this is what happens. I totally agree. There is something wrong with that. And it just, but it is what it is. And we look at schools. In talking to young people as we're preparing for this, I'm hearing repeatedly about the violence in our schools. And I was hoping our other gentleman would come on because they're at a school where they say there is no violence. So I want to talk about what is that environment like. And I want to, compare it to those who say there's fighting at school. There were stories of parents coming to school to egg on a fight. Stories of parents who will pick their child up, take them to the person's house who offended them, and tell them to beat them up. And they don't get in the car until they do. Parents who, if you're told to come and pick your child up because they were in a fight and they're being suspended, they come to the school ready to fight. They initiate a fight with the other parent. So when this is a parent dynamic, what do you expect from our children? When you see things like the former president who egged on the insurrection, what do you expect from our children? Because that's the highest office in our land. And that is a person who, during his presidency, really spearheaded a lot of he emboldened people to do these things, to those to go out and just be more aggressive, and you still see it. So when all of this was happening, our kids see this. And they're already in a culture where it is difficult for them to avoid anything violent. You look at TV, as I said, it's there. So what do we do with all this? That is why I want them to come together and begin thinking, what can you do in your corner of the world to make a difference? It's got to be something you can do in your little corner. But I want to pose that question to you. If you're here watching, maybe you can post it in the chat. What can you do in your corner of the world to make a difference? So I am big on doing big and small things. As adults, we can go out and organize and rally around and do things in our community. You can do it as a young person as well. But can we begin to generate a society where people do things other than the violence for fun? One other thing that Ariel said, that after there was a fight at her school, she was going and she walked in and she heard a teacher say, "Oh, I wish I could have seen that one. I would have loved to have seen that child get beat up." A teacher is saying this for other kids here. It's bad enough she's saying it, but saying it where other students can hear. Wow. So what can we do? So I'm going to, generate some suggestions, and this is all off the cuff because things just didn't work out technically. But what can we just do? So in your world, in just a small where you are, can we start being the ones who speak peace, who are kinder in our words, who are saying things that will generate positivity and not negativity, even in a negative situation? Can we be the ones that when it's a bad situation, now sometimes it's just bad, but do we have to make it worse by what we say? Can we be the ones to generate positivity where we are? How do you do that? And I've said before, can you be the one, even simple things like complimenting someone. I like to, if I see somebody, especially if I see another sister, you looking good. I was getting on the elevator yesterday and this person had this beautiful red hair. I mean, like, neon red, like you see the letters there, just really red, awesome, beautiful red. And I was like, man, I really love your hair. To be able to just say that, because think about it, when you get a compliment out of the blue, you're like, oh yeah, this is good. You feel good. Can we begin to just be the type of person who generates an environment around ourselves where we make people feel good? Because there's so much, as I said, that makes people feel bad. I have clients who are becoming afraid to go outside. Why? You could just get shot. I don't want my child to go to school. More than one who has said, I don't want my child to go back to school. I'm going to homeschool. Why? Because they shoot up schools. I don't like going to the grocery store. I now order my groceries in, and I work at home, so I'm good. When I do go out, I'm looking over my shoulder because the world is a scary place. We walk outside, we don't know if we're going to get shot. That is a reality, but we can't let that be our only reality. Part of the reason it is a reality is because our society is mean, more mean spirited, more driven by hate. And I'm saying little by little by little by little, if each one decides to do something to make a difference, do something to say, I want to do something to change my world. And if that change your world is, I'm going to speak to others more kindly. And I'm going to encourage others around me to speak to others more kindly. And it's that ripple effect. And they do it and they do it. And it may be, in my naive mind, if we begin to change our environment, at least your world will be a little kinder. Will it stop the crazies from coming into your world? Initially, no. But if enough people, if the voice of reason, the voice of calm becomes louder than the voice of anger and hatred, then it can change. So many people feel like, well, there's nothing we can do. And when you feel that way, nothing will change. But which voice should be louder? The voice of hatred or the voice of calm and peace? So I'm saying we can generate more peace. Um, how? Like I said, those are some of the reasons. But we continue to work to generate more peace in our world. There is a Bible verse that says our feet should be shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. It's talking about putting on the full armor of God and how we're dressed from head to toe in the armor of God and how we're presented to the world, how we're ready for spiritual warfare. Well, our feet are shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. They're covered with the gospel of peace. For me, that means everywhere you go, you're taking the gospel of peace with you, the peace of God with you. If we're walking in the mindset that I'm taking the peace of God with me everywhere I go, when I step into the grocery store, I'm taking the peace of God with me. When I go to work, when I go to a public bathroom, anywhere I go, I'm taking the gospel of peace with me. I'm breathing, sleeping, eating, drinking the gospel of peace with me where I go. If we take it with us where we go, everyone who claims to be a real lover of God, if we took the gospel of peace with us, could we change our world? Because everywhere we step, we are stepping in God's peace. Would that begin to change the tide from the voice that we hear more is not the voice of violence, but the voice of peace? I don't know, but we've got to begin to believe that is something we can do. We can generate positivity. We can make this world a more positive place. It can happen. What can we do? What can you do? I pose that question because I think it's time we start thinking about it. Another thing we can do is does television have to remain this way? I can remember back when the show Judge Judy first came on, and I stated that her initial role, I don't look at the show now, didn't really look at it then, but she was abrasive. This was a time, it was like in the 80s, I believe. She was really abrasive and it was really embraced by everybody. And I remember having a conversation with someone saying that this is going to be our new norm. And this was during the time when there were shows on that were gentle and peaceful, shows like, for those of us old enough to remember, shows like Touched by an Angel, and shows that had a positive message. You don't have that now. Not that our world was, well, the violence was different back then in our world. We still had a lot wrong in America. America's always had a lot wrong. But the tone was different when it wasn't, we weren't bombarded with violence, with rudeness, with self-serving, and it is built. It is built. It is built. So much so that television now, you're hard pressed to find shows that aren't that way. The more popular shows are the ones that are based on being abrasive, being rude, sometimes being violent. That is where we've come. And now you have more streaming. You don't just have TV, you have streaming. And you can stream, there are hundreds of streaming channels. And you can stream, there are Korean shows or this, or shows all over. But so much of the popular ones on any streaming channel deal with violence. So we glorify it. We can say we don't like violence. We can say violence isn't a good thing. But as a society, violence is glorified. As a society, it is become our norm. As I said, if you would go and look up any streaming channel and look at the shows that are there, you're going to see things that are violent. The majority of you would count. And they do have, categories. But even the ones that are under comedy or under this, half of them have violence in it. You listen to comedians, a lot of their comedy even has a violent subtone. And I do want to say this in talking to teens and in preparation for this, talking to adults, I want to extend the definition of violence. Earlier, I did say, there's emotional violence, there is physical violence, just the fighting, the shooting that we see, violence perpetuated by police onto African Americans. But someone pointed out that in the schools, you see a lot of sexual violence. And by that, guys that can go up and inappropriately grab a girl. And you've seen it before, but it has gotten worse. And remember, our previous president, when he was running for president, said he could, talk about grabbing a woman's private parts. You have kids who were doing that in the schools, and how offensive that is. You have acts of sexual intimidation going on in the school, and nothing happens to the perpetrator. Maybe you sit home for the rest of the day and you're back the next day. You can grab a girl in her private part, grab her on her breast, put your hand down her blouse. You walk up and do it real quick and get caught doing it. And it's okay. That's sexual violence. During the time of COVID, when people were locked down, you also had more just intimate partner violence, as it is called. Just abuse in the home. Men beating up on women. Part of it, people were more frustrated. They're closed in. Money is tight, and all these factors. But it still led to the fact that there was more violence perpetrated in the home than before. And that's still there. That number was heightened. That domestic violence, the number is still there. It may not be as high as it was at the height of COVID, but it's higher than it was before. Because our society is more anxious, more nervous, more depressed. People still grieving over the loss of loved ones during COVID and not having closure. People grieving the loss of jobs, grieving the loss of life. It's coming back to where it is, but grieving the loss of what they had before, and being unable to deal with what they don't have. And so we act in violent ways because we live in a violent society, and that's what we know how to do. So we see it in adults, and then children are modeled. That's what they see, that's what they do. So it has to end somewhere. So that's why we're having this summit. The whole point is to give them a voice. So let me tell you the setup, because and I'm going to tell you how you can participate. You can help. So we're having it's in two parts. On August 16th, let me make sure I got not 16th, August 13th, which is next Saturday. We want to have about 20 or so youth, grades 6 through 12, to come and plan the bigger event for at least 100 students. The basic setup of the one in October will be that we gather October 8th. We gather these students together, and they will be divided into groups. It will be Zoom. Everything will be virtual. The one on the August 13th and October 8th. Everything will be virtual. So the students will come together, and they will be paired with students their own age, and in groups of no more than 8. And each group will will be together for a designated amount of time, and they will talk about what violence looks like in their community, in their world. If they experience it, if they don't, how they see it. And they will come up with one thing they can do to generate more positivity in their world, in their community, in their school, just in their environment. And for that group, they'll agree with the one thing they're going to do. Then the groups will all come back together. Each one will have a representative, and will hear their idea, their one thing they can do. Um, then we're going to have another one in the spring, and they're going to come back and talk about what they did do. Did it make a difference? Are they making a difference? What can we do? So we'll be able to track them. They'll have reminders throughout. I will post a link to how you can, we need other kids for next Saturday, the 13th. If you have any that would like to be a part of this, you can message me. And I will also post a link tomorrow of how they can register, how they can get the information. But we want to have students in grade 6 through 12. Also, 19 through 25-year-olds will be the facilitators of the groups. I want everything to be children and youth centric. So we will have, the adults will not be the monitors of these groups. Kids are going to feel better if the person in charge is 25 or under. 25 is getting old when you're in 6th grade. So the monitors and facilitators for each group will be young people as well. Someone closer to their age who can understand what they're saying. We will have older adults in the background making sure everything stays on point, but they won't be the point person to talk, so that the kids can feel comfortable saying what they need to say, when they need to say, how they need to say it. There'll be guidelines, there'll be rules, but we want it to be very child focused. What can you do to help? Well, let me tell you. One of the things we are going to need is technical support, technical help. We need even to set up the link for, not the link for the Zoom, but how to get the registration out. We want to do it via Instagram because that's where most young people are. It's the biggest way. With this first wave on August 13th, the kids were going to have their marching orders, how to take it back to their schools, how to take it back to their community, pass it on to friends at different schools so the words get out. And we'll have that hashtag where they can go to the hashtag, get the form, and it'll be like a Google registration doc, and it'll come back to us. So we want to get it out there. I need someone who can help with that technically to get that done. Not my, I know it can work, not my area. We want to be able to pay someone to do this. We want to be able to, because they're going to be monitoring and they're doing all this. So we want to be able to pay them. If you would like to make a donation, you can DM me, and I will make sure I have our website up and going. The website is going to be twmb.org. If it is not up tonight, it will be by tomorrow. There was one thing I need to make sure, but it's TW Talk with Miss B, TWMB.org. You can go there and there'll be a donation link. If you are on Amazon, which I am way too much, you can go to Amazon Smile. Every time you go to Amazon, you have to log in as Amazon Smile. So if you already have it on your phone or whatever, but if you put in Amazon Smile and you're already logged in, it will come up. And if you type in Talk with Miss B, a donation is made. It's like a 1%, 3% of everything you buy, they donate to our organization. And so, as many people as I know that are on Amazon buying things, if every time you buy, you go to Amazon Smile, Talk with Miss B, and once you do it one time, it's locked in. That's who you're donating to. But every time you go in, you do have to type in Amazon Smile separately. And even if you have the app, you can go to Amazon Smile. And once you enter Talk with Miss B, it'll always come up. And so that's an easy way. That's a way to donate without even spending any money. Just, use us with Amazon. But if you'd like to make a donation, that one of the ways your donation can help can be the behind the scenes costs, which include, we want to have a speaker come in to motivate the kids on that day. That's going to take some money. I'm not asking everyone right now to donate their time. Yes, if someone wants to, that is awesome. But I also want to be able to bless those who are going to bless us. So if you'd like to donate, please do. Like I say, the easy way is, and it is Miss B as in Bronwyn. Talk with Miss B. B for bird. Talk with Miss B is the organization. And that's MSB. To make sure, because people are, is it MISS? No, it's Talk with MSB as in bird. Inc. is the organization, and you'll be able to make that how when you shop on Amazon. But we want to be able to bless those who are being a blessing to us. If I'm asking someone to, be in charge of all of our technical and the web activities, setting up the groups and doing all this, that takes time. So we want to be able to financially let it be a benefit to them. So those are some of the things your donations will go to. Our organization has other things going on, but I'm just focusing on this one project now that is at the forefront. I would like to end with a call to action. Think about the violence in our world and think about, can your feet be shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace? And where are you taking it? Violence is a mental health crisis, because to stay in a state of violence, hatred, discomfort, truly is impacting the mental health of many people. So do what you can in your world. Support our organization, support this event, because I don't believe the children are just our future. The children are now. We need to impact their lives now so they have a better future, and we do too. So let's not just say the children are our future. They're our present, and we need to make the world a better place for them. And as always, vote, vote, vote. Be an educated voter, educated on what's going on in your neighborhood, on your voting ballot. Vote the down ballot, not just the up ballot. By that I mean vote in every election, not just a presidential election. It is so important. So we're going to end a few minutes early because we had all the issues with our guests, but I didn't want to cancel. I want us to really think about what we can do to manage violence in our own world. It's not just our youth. I'm focusing on them because I don't have time for old folks and their stuff, but man, let's make a difference for those coming up who that's all they've been modeled in the last couple of years. And we see it. For those that feel fighting in and hurting someone is a joke. It's entertainment. Let's find another way of entertaining ourselves. So thank you for joining. Next week, we'll have some of our little darlings will be able to be here, and we'll be able to look at violence through their eyes. But please, 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 we need students for August 13th, anyone from 6th grade up to age 25, because we need the facilitators. So if you know anyone from 12 to 25, please contact me. They can call 817. I was trying to remember the number for Talk with Miss B. Hold on, I have to look at that number because I don't dial it. 817-966-8005. I just remembered it at the time. 817-966-8005. They can call. I'm dialing. Yeah. They can call and say, "Hey, I want to participate." You can call and say, "Oh, I want to donate," or you can call and say, "Now, what is that? How do I add to Amazon?" I'm typing in now. It's Talk with Miss B Inc. is how it shows up. So get on Amazon. Add us to your Amazon list. I will see you next week, and breathe deep and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye now.